got another one of them. Popping at the mouth or the side of his neck when he pouts, no argument, no rebuttal from. He ain't from my town, I don't know him, so I'm guessing he's a clown.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. Let's talk about AEW Dynamite Homecoming, because every AEW Dynamite has to have a tagline. Okay, let's talk about this show. So the first match, Chris Jericho versus Juventud Guerrera. Look, I'm just gonna be honest with you, dog. I was wearing nostalgia glasses through this whole match. The match was probably mid as hell, but because I was wearing nostalgia glasses, I thought it was dope. Legit, I thought it was dope. And I know that, Hoovy ain't the cruiserweight he used to be. He's like 46 or something like that now. I just thought it was cool to see him in the ring. He's wrestling in a mask. He's obviously going to sell later. The match was fine. I really enjoyed it. I would have loved for Hoovy to come out to his WCW theme. Of course, we couldn't actually use it because it's, probably WWE property now. But that would have been dope. Jericho wins the match with a Judas effect from the top rope. I actually liked that finish. I thought the finish was great. I thought it was going to be something simple, like Jericho, or like a body splash, or he was going to try to do a frog splash from Eddie Guerrero or something. Hoovy, man, the juice is always loose. The juice is always welcome. Hopefully this is not going to be the only time we see Hoovy. Hopefully he comes back. They moved on from Hoovy very quickly, though. After he was beaten, Wardlow jumped in the ring almost immediately. Beat up Hoovy and Chris Jericho. And then we find out that Wardlow is the fourth labor. And MJF will be the referee. Look, alright. This whole Labors of Jericho thing has been a misfire. It's a great idea. But it should have been... Okay, for starters, we could have done without the chair guy. We could have done without that. We could have done Hoovy first. And we could have just done guys from Jericho's past. Somebody on Twitter had the idea that I had. And that is, you could have done Hoovy first. Then you could have done somebody else. I don't know who. Who else is free? I don't know. Then the third match, you could have had Lance Storm. It could have been Lance Storm's final match. And if Lance Storm loses, he has to retire or something like that. And that would have gave Jericho something to really to weigh on his mind. It's like, is he going to retire the guy he started the business with? Even though I think technically Lance Storm is already retired. But that could have been sweet. And then you could have done maybe Chris Jericho versus Sammy Guevara. And now you go from his best friend to now his protege. And, that kind of thing leading up to Jericho versus MJF. What they did was gave us the 10 guy because nobody cares about him. Then they gave us Nick Gage, which if you're going to use Nick Gage, he should have been the last guy. He should have been like the wall. It should have been like the one thing Jericho has never done. The one is a death match. The one thing he's never done in his career is a death match. And that's what he has to do in order to get to MJF. That should have been the last labor. But they gave it to us second, so everything after the fact is gonna pale in comparison. It's like after they, flushed MJF face in the toilet. Then we gotta have the match. Then we're gonna have the bloody cage brawl. Then we gotta have all the other matches after that. It's just so weird, man. It's weird, but it's still a good idea. I still enjoyed the match with Hoovy. I'm not thrilled about the Wardlow match, though. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, dog. I don't really care. I don't really give a shit about the Wardlow match. We got Dasha, Lucha Brothers, and Pac is not there. They were in sort of a little confused about why Pac wasn't there. His travel was canceled. At least that's what they were told. Andrade says, well, you should thank me. You should thank me. And then Chavo took over because immediately Chavo took over and says, oh, you should be thanking Andrade for the limo and all the first class yada yada and champagne or whatever that he got for you. And you should come work for him. And Phoenix again says that he doesn't work for anyone. I think later in the show they did a second promo with Andrade, Dasha, and Fuego del Sol, I believe it is. So Chavo said he found somebody that can work for Andrade. And Andrade was looking like, oh, you did, huh? And he brings in this Fuego del Sol guy. Then he tells Fuego del Sol to polish Andrade's shoes. Fuego del Sol takes too long to do so. He gets beaten up and thrown into a thing. He just got beat up. It's just some kid who got beat up. So I'm guessing that's Andrade's next opponent is Fuego del Sol. Okay. Sure. I don't know where we're going with this Death Triangle thing. Andrade is cold as ice. Well, he's not cold as ice. He's not as hot as he should be, if we're being honest. The guy just debuted not long ago. You know, like, could you imagine somebody losing this much steam this fast? You know, and it being considered a good thing. Now, sometimes a slow burn is the best thing for you to do. And I actually prefer slow burns because slow burns are easy to maintain. You know, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But this is a little too slow. You know, it's a little too slow. But I'm guessing we're going to end up with the Lucha Brothers signing on with Andrade and then making that Death Triangle. Okay, cool, I guess. We'll see. We'll see when we get there. So the Dark Order's with Tony Schiavone. Hangman's drinking again. They're like, no, brother, you don't need to drink. They find out that, you know, Hangman says, look, I caused all these problems with the Elite. I have to go and fix them, and I need to do it myself. We need to go our separate ways. So then, of course, this led everybody to be like, what? Oh, my goodness. Dark Order and Hangman Page, they're going their own way. What does that mean? Who cares? The Elite are playing basketball, and then Hot Potato backstage. They're wearing funny shirts. They're wearing Cookie Monster shirts. And just generically being silly. And they offer the Dark Order Impact Tag Team title matches. After you beat them the previous week and said they don't get a tag team title match, they get a consolation prize of the Impact Tag Team title match. So they got the tag team title match by not winning. So explain to me then why Hangman Page can't challenge for the Impact World title. Explain that to me. If you can say, well, the Dark Order, if they won, they would have gotten an AEW World Tag Team title match. It's like, okay, that's a nice little carrot to dangle over them. But if they lose, they have to wrestle the Impact Tag Team champions. It's like, well, great. So now the Impact Tag Team titles are belts for losers. Whatever. So now explain to me why Hangman Page can't challenge for the Impact World title, which Kenny Omega has. It's the same opponent. Is anybody going to be able to explain that to me? No? Okay. Let's move on. Let's talk as little about this as possible. Okay? So let's move on. We talk about, Hangman comes to the ring. He's with Tony Schiavone. And he said he needs to clear some things up, and out comes the Elite. Omega says, are you trying to rejoin the Elite? Hangman's like, nope, not trying to do that. Then Hangman calls him a tryhard, says that they don't have losers and failures in the group, which led Hangman Page to punch Kenny Omega in the face. Then he gets jumped by the Elite. The Dark Order come out there to help him. Then Uno and Grayson tell them, nope. He wanted to be by himself. Let him be by himself. Let him handle it on his own. Pull all of those guys back. He's just getting brutalized in the ring. And then here comes Kazarian. Kazarian tries. And if he's the Elite Hunter, he's the Elmer Fudd of Elite Hunters. Okay? He is the absolute worst. He's the Wile E. Coyote of Elite Hunters. The guy just comes to the ring and gets beaten up. Every single time. Every time he just go rat-a-tat-tat across his goddamn head. Every time. So he gets beat up. And then we just watch as Hangman Page is brutalized by the Elite. Now, of course, all the smart, quote-unquote, smart fans are saying, oh, yes, Hangman Page is about to go on paternity leave so that he can do his, he's about to have a baby, and that's why he's not going to be in the all-out main event. All right. Okay. You know, I guess so. While I'm on the subject of this, though, let's talk about things a little out of order. Because Christian defeated the Blade in a match that I really didn't care about. I didn't give a goddamn about that match. Following the match, though, it was announced that Christian is the number one contender for the AEW World title and will probably be the opponent for Kenny Omega at All Out. So Christian says that this is what he came back for. He came back to win championships. He came back to cement his legacy. And this is a good place to start. And he says next week he's going to show up for Rampage and for Dynamite. And he's a pretty good shit stirrer. And what he's going to do is he's going to get out. He says, and you might say I'm elite at shit stirring. So the idea is Christian versus Kenny Omega for All Out. And you know what? I don't mind that idea. The only problem I have is the same situation that you had with Andrade, where you've cooled Christian off to the point where nobody is really amped to see him wrestle Kenny Omega. If this was not long after Christian had debuted and you had kept him in a high profile feud, then sure, it would have made sense. Okay, it would have been fine. But he has no high profile feuds. He's just been tangling with underlings this entire time, wrestling Private Party. He had one match with Matt Hardy, and Matt Hardy isn't even an elite to for lack of a better word, not even an elite opponent. He's just a guy on the roster. He has no heat either, and he barely shows up. So it, what is it really? So Christian versus Kenny Omega is fine for me. I know some people are probably not thrilled about that idea. To me, it's fine. The question is going to be, once Christian loses, now what? What is he going to be doing once he loses? Because he's not going to win the title. So then what are you going to do? And then that's good. Always think about the next thing. What's the next thing? So that's all the Dark Order, Kenny Omega, Hangman Page stuff. I didn't like that Hangman Page just got brutalized in the ring and nobody did anything. I get that, you want to make the Elite look strong, but at the same time, you didn't need to do this. You really didn't. You could have just wrote him off TV by saying, hey, I got to go get my mind together. And then he goes on paternity leave. And then he comes back, completely different. Haircut, new music, something like that. Learn a new hold. And he comes back refreshed. Rather than we beat the tar out of him 2 weeks in a row, by the way. And just made him look like shit. And then we beat up everybody who tried to help him. And nobody got over. The Elite really didn't get over because they already beat this guy. It was like they really haven't gained anything. What more do you gain from just pummeling them again? In any event, let's go back to the regular card schedule. 2.0, which is Everrise. Everrise rules! And Danny Garcia versus Darby Allin, Jon Moxley, and Eddie Kingston. This was just, come on. What chance did 2.0 and Daniel Garcia ever have? Daniel Garcia looks like Gumby. He has a very elongated torso. And it's just very weird. And he got really grasshopper-like arms and legs. I mean, the guy's weird. He's weirdly built. He's a weird built human. I wonder if he was born with that body as a prosthetic. In any event, 2.0, aka Everrise, they're very funny. They didn't get a lot of chances in NXT. They was pretty regular on talking segments and things like that, but they never really got focused on. Their first night in I'm about to call it Impact in AEW, they got to interact with Sting, the chubby one. I think it's Martel is his name or something like that. I don't know if those were working names or if those were their real names anyway. I have no idea. But he was like, "Are you the real Sting?" And then he just gets obliterated with this top tope suicida by Darby Allin. He really lays that joint in. And he's small enough where he could bowl you over and not kill you. So, that works. That's the best thing about Darby, man. He lays his shit in. Like when he did coffin drop in this match too, it looked pretty stiff. Daniel Garcia sold that paradigm shift like he's having a stroke. Like he's just like his entire body tensed up. He's like a dead mouse. It was wild. Anyway, Everrise rules. They're funny as hell. Moxley and Kingston, I don't know what they were there for. They got the photo op with Sting, which I guess was the big picture of this whole ordeal. That's everything everybody wanted, was just to hang out and take pictures with Sting, because all the marks are in the ring. All right, so they did a Team Taz promo thing where Starks called Cage selfish and Cage talked, and I didn't believe a word that he said. I didn't really ask for the title. I didn't even really want to be in Team Taz. Being with you guys never did anything for me. I was just kind of like, where's the menace? Where's the threat? Where's the anger? Brian Cage just got nothing. He's just got nothing. He got muscles for no reason. Somebody who's actually good should have those muscles. He's a waste of muscle. Meat Castle for no reason. Anyway, I don't like the idea of Ricky Starks wrestling that guy again. I'm not thrilled about it. He survived them once. I'm not so sure he can survive that whole thing again. But hopefully he does. Hopefully he does. See, Santana and Ortiz and FTR did a promo vignette. I thought it was pretty good. Santana and Ortiz basically took credit for Cash's busted up arm. You know, said that they promised to leave them some scars and they got them. And Dax was very mad. Said, I always watch. He was also very dramatic. I almost watched my best friend die. It's how he was carved up. And he said, now this shit is personal. Okay, they're going to run this back. All right. This is worthy of a rematch because we know that that match was cut short due to injury, so they're going to run it back. All right, fair enough. I really still like Santana and Ortiz. Still like FTR. So as long as they didn't run it back to back, I'm okay with rematches. Just give me, fresh reasons, fresh ideas. Pump something new into it, which is exactly what they did. If you're going to make leftovers, you're going to have to heat them up. You just can't just pull it out the refrigerator. That's what Raw does. That's the shits. I know we had this match last week, and there's no real reason to do it again. So here it is again. It's like now there's a literal reason for them to have this rematch. Because FTR now wants the rematch because of what they did to Cash Wheeler's arm. They're just going to take credit for it. Okay, cool. That's good enough for me. Tony Schiavone's in the ring with Britt Baker. And, she's, of course, talking about being the champion because she has nothing else to say. And then here comes Red Velvet. Red Velvet wants a match for the title and says that she was 22-4. This is another one of those that you chopped down a tree in the forest and nobody heard it. How did you have 26 matches that nobody saw? So Britt Baker said, I beat you in 3 minutes already. To which Red Velvet said that she was a completely different wrestler than she is now. And Baker accepted and said they want to do the match at Rampage. Then Reba tried to hit Red Velvet with a crutch. She ducked it. They fought a little bit, and then they jumped Red Velvet and put the crutch under her throat and kind of beat her up a little bit. All right. Whatever. Red Velvet is nothing. Look, you can build people up on Dark with these bullshit wins, but they don't mean anything. That's the crazy thing. Like, it can't mean anything because nobody sees these matches. You can't assume everybody watches everything. You just can't. So Dan Lambert from America's Top Team, he said he's going to be here next week to confront Lance Archer. Also, he's going to finish telling the truth that he was telling, which means he's going to continue his Jim Cornette gimmick. But he's going to be bringing backup this time, which means he's going to be bringing somebody, a wrestler. Something tells me it's probably going to be, what the fuck is his name? How about to say Chael Sonnen? That's not Chael Sonnen. The guy they brought in to wrestle Brock. What the fuck is his name? The Mexican guy. What is his name? King Velasquez. That's his name. And I think it'll be him because Cody wanted him in the first place. They wanted King Velasquez when he did that match in AAA. But WWE snatched him up first. And then they did that one match in Saudi Arabia that everybody shit on before it happened. And then they did the match and it was terrible. But King Velasquez got hurt in that match. And then, he got fired. So all of that was very unfortunate. But I'm pretty sure all the people who hated Cain Velasquez in WWE will probably be thrilled to see him in AEW. But I think that he'll be a great opponent for Lance Archer, though. So bring in Cain Velasquez. It probably won't be him. But that's my guess. My guess is Cain Velasquez. What are your guesses? Let me know in the comment section below. See, Lee Johnson wrestled Miro for far too long. Lee Johnson, another guy that they built up on Dark. He got all these supposed wins. This match was, again, far too long. We knew Johnson didn't have a chance in hell. The signs were very interesting, though. I don't know how many people had Miro 316 signs. It felt very inauthentic to me. Unless 316 is the only Bible verse that people know. Somebody did have a very interesting sign, though, that basically repeated what Miro said. It basically said that, Miro, please don't kill Lee Johnson because we like him. And that God bless, Miro for being, he's God's favorite champion. And his was it double jointed wife or something like that. I thought that was pretty cool. It's a pretty cool sign. I like that. It was a lot of words on it though. So, it doesn't work as a sign unless, you want to get captured on Twitter, which is exactly what happened. Is, people on social media took pictures of it and posted it. So it's that era. So of course Miro wins. The match was too long because everything is too long in this show. Everything is too long. The Bunny versus Layla Hirsch. This match was also too long. Layla Hirsch is another person they built up on Dark that probably won matches that nobody saw. The Bunny never wins. Camille, Big Country, she's out in the crowd. This is for the number one contender to the NWA Women's title. Layla Hirsch wins the match. Then Camille gets in the ring and literally towers over Layla Hirsch. She could probably piss on Layla Hirsch's forehead standing up. That's the size difference between the two. And yes, I know Camille was wearing heels, but them heels were not that big. Even flat-footed, Camille was huge in comparison to Layla Hirsch. Camille is the kind of person they really should just have on the roster, if we're being honest. I also hate that they introduced Camille in this way. They didn't introduce her via promo. She didn't get to talk. She didn't get to she got to stand there, but that was after the match. They didn't introduce her to this audience in any way. That's what I don't like about AEW. One of the many things that I don't like about AEW. You introduce somebody who's never been on national TV before. You don't tell us who they are. You only show us with a belt. You show somebody who has a belt. And they say, this is the number one contender for the NWA Women's World Title. And I'm kind of like, okay, who is that? Well, that's the champion. What is her name? Like, can we see her do something? Can she come out there and talk? Can anything happen here? Nothing. Okay. Now, the visual was great. They told the visual story of Layla Hirsch and Camille. That was great. I also am not a fan of Camille talking, so I shouldn't have said that she should be cutting promos. But she should have been there or somebody should have been by her side to talk for her, and so that she can stand and be imposing. And that would have been great. But they didn't introduce her at all, so it's kind of like a throwaway. And they do that a lot. They just bring in people to throw them away. Speaking of throwaways, Jade Cargill explains where she's been. She's been out making new deals with new brands. Whatever. I heard that she got injured in training. And oddly enough, not a lot of people complaining and making a big deal out of her getting injured in training. Not like when Bayley got hurt in training. It was a big brouhaha over that. Not that big of a deal over Jade Cargill getting hurt in training, is it? Interesting. Jade Cargill looks like $1 million. She really does. She's muscular. She's oily. She's somewhat good looking. She's a little too rough for me, but she looks like $1 million. I don't know why she's hanging around with that bum ass kayfabe lawyer. I mean, get her a real manager, somebody who can really get heat, somebody who can really get her over. And let her do something other than just say, I'm that bitch. It's like she's been doing this shit for 4 fucking months. She's been literally, this shit just literally made me mad as long as I've been thinking about how long as she's been just standing in one place saying, I'm that bitch. I cannot believe they're letting them get away with this shit and nobody is saying anything. Now, of course, they claim she's going to be wrestling a match soon. She's not on this TV, though. So, it is what it is. So, let's get here to our main event of the evening. Malachi Black wearing a skull mask and antlers. Not bad. Not bad at all. I didn't really hear much of his theme song. Versus Cody Rhodes. So, this match was a squash match. It was really just 2 spots. Aleister Black with a very, very stiff leg kick. And Cody doubled over in pain. They did a little something. Cody climbed the top ropes. Black kicked him off the top rope. He flies from the top rope through a table outside the ring. They had to have a table spot. This leads to Cody being completely taken out of the match. Black Mask gets pinned with 1 foot on the chest for extra emphasis. And, you know, Black walks away smiling like, yeah, easy, light work. Tony Schiavone gets in the ring, and Tony Schiavone is there with Cody, and they slide Cody a crutch because they know Cody needs a crutch when he's been knocked unconscious. And then Cody shows us what he learned in the Shawn Michaels School of Drama and Theatrics by guys, thank you so much. Tony, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I appreciate everything you've ever done for us. Thank you. Guys, when I was a kid, I started this when I was 15 years old. All I ever wanted to do was win the championship that was screwed out of my dad in the garden. But times change. Goals change. I told everyone 3 years ago that we were going to be a revolution, and they laughed at us. They laughed at us. They laughed at our revolution. Then AEW, AEW, AEW. But we set the table. We set the table so others can eat. Guys, Tony, I think we should call this place the AEW Amphitheater. Yeah, AEW, AEW, AEW. And then he starts taking off his boot because, you know, he's got to retire. He's been embarrassed. He's going to retire. And then Aleister Black hits him in the back with a crutch and leaves him face down in the middle of the ring. And that's how we end the show. This is gonna be some okay. The moment I saw the foot on the chest, I said, bullshit, there's gonna be a rematch. Cody's not gonna take that laying down. His ego's too big. And then he gives us this 10-minute post-match with him being groggy at first. And then he just goes into this history lesson about how when he was 15, he just wanted to bring back the title that his dad got screwed up out of the garden. And I'm just kind of like, that's not what I would be thinking about if I just got knocked out on national TV in front of the world. I wouldn't be thinking about that. But, hey, you know, different strokes for different folks, dogs. In any event, this is clearly going to be a rematch. And Cody was going to fake retire. And we could already see the promos coming. Aleister Black, it was over. I was ready to hang it up, go spend time with my family, be a father, but then you just wouldn't let me have it. You wouldn't let me have that moment. Because you wouldn't let me have that moment, I gotta finish what I started, Aleister Black. I'm sorry, Malachi Black. Tommy End, whatever you're calling yourself. I gotta finish you. Cody, we see through this. We see through it, okay? The problem with this is that the crowd is too smart. You can't do this kind of thing in front of a smart crowd. Everybody knows it's an angle. That's the part that AEW does not get. It's very, very, very hard to hook people who already know it's a work. They already know it's a work. Okay? So they don't believe that you really have this heartfelt retirement. It's been this whole thing with this melodrama with Cody. Nobody believes you. They can't believe you. They're already smart. These people read the newsletters and all this kind of stuff. They don't believe you. The WWE audience is different. A lot of those people are completely ignorant. They walk into the show and take what wrestlers say seriously. That's why they get so upset. That's why they get mad. And they tweet without using punctuation or sentence structure. You know, that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it funny. The AEW fan base is all on Twitter. They're super smart. They didn't give Hangman Page the emotional response that it took his ass beat because they already like, oh, he's going on paternity leave. Oh, okay, so I cannot care that he's getting beat up right now because I know this is all just happening because he's going on paternity leave. So guess what? You might as well just tell us, you know, guys, I lost last week. My wife is pregnant. She's about to have this baby. I wasn't thinking. I'm sorry I lost you guys the tag team title match. Let me go handle this baby thing. I'll come back. Why not just do that? Since the fans are already smart, just tell the truth. Why write this bullshit like Hangman Page gets BTE triggered and beat up and fucked up and shit on and everything? Your audience is too smart for your fake retirement angles. Okay, you can't do it. It doesn't work. Everybody that's just clapping and, no, Cody, please don't retire. They're just playing along. They already know it's bullshit. They just saw this match in which you got jobbed out in short order. They know you coming back. They know you're coming back, Cody. This is bullshit, okay? All right, so let's talk about this. I saw somebody say that Aleister Black is a superstar already. You know, one match, he was made to look like a bigger star than he's ever got made to look in WWE. For starters, this ain't the first time Cody has done a squash finish for himself. Remember, he got squashed by Brody Lee. And then if you remember correctly, they had nothing for Brody Lee after that. That's where I'm at with Malachi Black. I want to call him Aleister Black so badly. You had him beat Cody in short order. Let's say that there is no rematch. Let's say that they don't do. Let's say they forego the rematch. For starters, that would make no sense. But let's say that they do that. Where do you go from here if you're Malachi Black? Where do you go? You've beat Cody. Cody is a very top level opponent. Where do you go from here? Good question. Do you wrestle, I don't know, Darby Allin? That's a step down. I mean, he's over. He's an over guy for you to work with, sure. That's a step down. Do you work with Jungle Boy? He's over. That's a step down. You know, you can't work with Omega. Omega's also a heel. Who do you work with? How do you maintain what you've done? It's the Kevin Owens situation. It's the Undertaker situation. When you start a guy at the top, you now have to maintain them in that position. And it's impossible to do. That's why you don't start people at the top. You start them at the bottom. Right? And the bottom line is I like to use this axiom about fire. That the quicker you burn, the quicker you burn out. Which means the faster, and like if you turn the heat up on like a cheeseburger or something like that, it'll cook fast, but it also burn fast too. And it won't be done in the middle and everything, right? Some people like it that way. That's how careers, and that's how you end up in the Lance Archer position or the Brody Lee position when he wasn't doing anything for several weeks. Is you start somebody too high on the card. Now, you can say, well, this is we just think so highly of him that we're going to put him in this position. It's like, yeah, sure. That's smart. That's good. That's okay. That's fine. But now we see with Keith Lee what happened. Keith Lee came in within the month. He had beat Randy Orton. Within 2 months, what else is there for him to do? Nothing. He has to start from the bottom all over again. Now he has to go and do the groundwork. And now here it is almost a year later, and he hasn't really benefited from beating Randy Orton in his first pay-per-view match. He hasn't benefited from that shit at all. Now you can say that's WWE shit booking. No, it's shit booking to start people at the top, period. Unless you don't plan for them to be there very long. Like if he was in the territories or something like that, you can start a guy at the top. He's going to do the loop, and then that's it. He's out of there. You maybe come in, give him some wins over some jobbers to establish him. You give him in there with Bruno or whatever, they do the loop, and then when the loop is over, they gone. So you don't need to do that much. And when it comes to TV and all this kind of stuff, you bring a guy in at the top. Now you have to maintain that. Because if AEW plans to still be around in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, you started Malachi Black with Cody. Who do you have after Cody? Okay? Now you have some younger talents, but they're not on the same level as Cody. Even in the fans' eyes, they're not the same as Cody. So how are you going to maintain that? I mean, hey, we brought in Kevin Owens and he beats John Cena in his first match. Okay, then what happens? He loses to John Cena, and then he has to go back and wrestle for the Intercontinental title. Because can't put him in the world title picture. That's the only logical step after you beat John Cena. It doesn't work that way. The quicker you burn, the quicker you burn out. People are kind of like, oh, okay, well, he got the big win. Now what? That's the situation we're going to find ourselves in. So unless you're talking about putting the belt on Black, which I know they're not, especially if they the kind of people who book long-term, like long-term, and they say, oh, well, Hangman's the guy that's going to beat Kenny Omega for the belt. Okay, so then what's everybody else fighting for? That's the problem with your fans being too smart. They don't believe in anybody. That's the problem with your Christian and Kenny Omega match. It's like, oh, we're going to put this match on pay-per-view. Okay, cool. Nobody believes Christian is going to win, though. Because you've already conditioned them to believe that Kenny Omega is going to win. You've already conditioned them to believe that Hangman Page is the heir apparent. So now you're just treading water until you actually get there. All right. This show was, it was all right, I guess. I enjoyed Hoovy and Chris Jericho. Black and Cody, it was a letdown for me. I'm not really thrilled about a finish. I don't think that Malachi Black got a lot out of this. I think that, Cody just saved himself some bumps. He took a huge bump for no reason and saved the rest of the match because, there's a rematch to push. So why give away too much? And, whatever. 3 counts are not that important. What's important is everything else. So how they continue this story is going to be very important. But thank you guys for listening. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel, sponsor the channel via Subscribestar or Cash App, and I'll talk to you guys later.
Old non-aggression. Once that lesson sets in, you'll see a session, but you got an affection for no progression, regression.